Hello everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Mazz Reporter. Here's a quick roundup of today's top trending news for January 23, 2026. As the day unfolds across time zones, top trending news today from the UK and European region. Trump secures Arctic framework deal with NATO, suspends EU tariffs. President Donald Trump announced a framework of a future deal with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte concerning Greenland and the Arctic region. Trump also suspended planned tariffs against several European countries. Spain rail crashes. Second deadly incident in days. A train driver killed and dozens injured, 37 plus reported, some seriously, in a derailment collision near Barcelona, Catalonia. Follows a prior crash in Andalusia. Heavy storms contributed. Network under scrutiny amid 3 days of national mourning. Social media ban. UK moves to legally restrict kids on social media. UK moves toward banning social media for children under 16, igniting a national debate on safety, freedom, and digital rights. This is today's Mazz Report main story as well. UK inflation rises to 3.4% in December 2025. After 5-month decline, UK inflation rose to 3.2%, driven by new budget measures, while the government pointed to energy bill cuts and wage rises. Opposition figures blamed Labour's tax increases as unemployment climbed to 5.1%, despite ministers saying levels remain historically low. Powerful solar storm turned UK skies pink, green, and sparked global alerts. Millions across the UK saw the northern lights light up the night sky, with vivid green and pink colours visible from Scotland and Northern Ireland to Northern England, and even parts of the Midlands, Wales, and Southern England. Read more from this story at Mazz Reporter. Top trending news today from the region of the Americas. Trump at Davos, boasts of economic revival, slams green energy, and demands talks to buy Greenland. On January 21, 2026, 1 year into his second term, President Trump addressed the World Economic Forum, highlighting surging growth, defeated inflation, $18 to $20 trillion in investments, and tariffs that cut trade deficits by 77%. He criticized green energy like Chinese windmills, warned Europe about unchecked immigration, and demanded immediate talks to purchase Greenland, calling it a vital piece of ice against Russia and China, with plans for a Golden Dome defense. The speech earned a standing ovation and praise from supporters like J.D. Vance as historic, while critics highlighted perceived gaffes on names and remarks about Somalis, which the White House dismissed. Trump pushes on Mexico's crime. Mexico has sent 37 more suspected drug cartel members to the United States after pressure and threats from President Trump. This is part of Trump's wider campaign against crime, where he wants to label criminal groups as terrorist organizations and has praised El Salvador's tough approach under President Bukele. These actions are putting pressure on more progressive leaders in Latin America, who now face difficult choices on how to respond to crime and U.S. demands. Ecuador imposes a 30% tariff on Colombian goods. Ecuador will impose a 30% tariff on goods from Colombia starting February 1st, citing a trade deficit and lack of cooperation on fighting drug trafficking. Wildfires killed 20 in southern Chile, displacing tens of thousands. Severe wildfires in southern Chile have killed at least 20 people, forced over 50,000 to evacuate, and destroyed thousands of hectares, prompting President Boric to declare a state of catastrophe and deploy firefighters and the military. Top trending news today from Western Pacific region. China-Japan diplomatic crisis. The 2025-2026 China-Japan diplomatic crisis continues to simmer, stemming from Japanese PM Sanai Takaichi's remarks on potential military involvement if China invades Taiwan. China has imposed export bans on dual-use items to Japan for military purposes, conducted patrols near the disputed Senkaku Islands, and initiated anti-dumping probes into Japanese chip-making materials. Chinese tourism to Japan has halved in recent months due to the row, with boycotts and cancellations. Taiwan-South China Sea tensions. In the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait, the Chinese military has increased drone flights near Taiwan-controlled Pratas Islands and stepped up maritime activity in the region. Recent Philippine discoveries of gas deposits near disputed waters have added to regional tensions. Analysts, including those from RUSI, warn that China's ongoing military modernization is gradually reducing Western air and naval advantages. Meanwhile, Taiwan is seeking closer ties with the United States, focusing on chip industry investments, defense spending, and purchases of U.S. weapons. This is partly driven by concerns that U.S.-China trade negotiations could sideline Taiwan's security and economic interests. U.S. approves 2.3 billion arms sale to Singapore torpedoes, air defenses, aircraft. The U.S. State Department approved a potential $2.3 billion arms sale to Singapore on Tuesday, January 20, 2026. The package includes P-8A Poseidon reconnaissance aircraft, lightweight torpedoes, and air defense systems. The Defense Security Cooperation Agency, DSCA, has provided the required notification to the U.S. Congress, which still needs to formally approve the transaction. Top trending news today from the Eastern Mediterranean region. Trump's Gaza peace board gains backing from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and others. Announced last fall as part of Trump's 20-point Gaza plan, the board is seeking $1 billion in contributions from member countries to fund permanent seats. Trump is set to chair the board alongside U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Envoy Steve Witkoff. Foreign ministers from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Qatar, and the UAE issued a joint statement supporting a ceasefire and Palestinian self-determination. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu accepted an invitation to join after initially hesitating. At Davos, Trump described the board as the most prestigious ever, noting participation from more than 35 countries. Critics online have raised concerns that it could be a pay-to-play arrangement, particularly given Netanyahu's ICC warrant, while some European nations remain cautious due to United Nations-related issues. Tensions in post-Assad Syria and spillover effects. Syria remains a flashpoint with wider implications for the Eastern Mediterranean. U.S. forces have started transferring detainees linked to ISIS from northeastern Syria, particularly in the Hasaka region, to Iraq to prevent prison breaks and reduce security risks. Turkey's President Erdogan has called on the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, to disarm and disband, labeling them as terrorists. Clashes and humanitarian crises continue in Kurdish-controlled areas such as Kobani and Hasaka, where residents face shortages of water, electricity, and food. These developments raise broader concerns about regional instability, including effects on Lebanon, Turkey's borders, and refugee flows. Ongoing Israel-Lebanon and Gaza-related developments. Israeli strikes continue in Gaza, reports of journalists and civilians killed, and along the Lebanon border, despite broader ceasefire discussions. Continue in Gaza, reports of journalists and civilians killed, and along the Lebanon border, despite broader ceasefire discussions. Top trending news today from the African region. Mass church kidnappings in northern Nigeria. Armed gunmen abducted over 170 people, including worshippers, from 3 churches in Kaduna State, sparking widespread fear in affected villages. Nigerian police initially denied the incident, but later confirmed it after evidence emerged. Senegal's AFCON 2025 victory celebrations continue. Senegal defeated hosts Morocco 1-0 in the Africa Cup of Nations final, after extra time and controversy, including a walk-off protest. Nationwide parades and fan euphoria dominate headlines, with President Faye declaring a public holiday. Post-election tensions in Uganda. President Yoweri Museveni, age 81, secured a 7th term in the January 2026 elections, amid fraud allegations and violence. Opposition leader Bobi Wine, from hiding, rejects challenging results in court, citing bias, and calls for peaceful change. Museveni's son, Army Chief Muhoozi Kainerugaba, issued threats against Wine, escalating concerns over repression and succession. Other main news from the region flooding across southern Africa, Mozambique, South Africa, Zimbabwe, has caused deaths and destruction from torrential rains. Top trending news today from the Southeast Asian region. ICC rejects Bangladesh's plea to shift T20 World Cup matches from India. Participation in doubt. The International Cricket Council, ICC, has firmly rejected the Bangladesh Cricket Board's BCB request to relocate its group stage matches, scheduled in Kolkata and Mumbai, to Sri Lanka due to security concerns amid political tensions with India. Bangladesh National Election Campaign kicks off. Election campaigning for the February 12, 2026 general polls, first since Sheikh Hasina's ouster, began today amid tight security. BNP fields 288 candidates, Jamaat-e-Islami 224, and others. Interim leader Muhammad Yunus insists polls proceed no matter what. Pakistan, Karachi's Gul Plaza fire tragedy and aftermath. A massive fire at Gul Plaza, a multi-story shopping mall in Karachi has caused significant casualties. Reports of 63-plus deaths, dozens injured caused it trapped, with ongoing rescue by rangers, Navy, and fire teams. Delhi residents wade through knee-deep sewage in Kirari amid political blame. A video by journalist Sharad Sharma shows overflowing drains and long-standing hardships in Kirari's Sharma enclave, where more than 70 unauthorized colonies lack proper sewer systems, forcing residents to dump waste into open channels. Philippines hosts Myanmar stakeholder meeting as ASEAN chair. The Philippines, holding the 2026 ASEAN chairmanship, convened a stakeholders meeting with various Myanmar political and ethnic armed groups to push forward the bloc's stalled 5-point consensus peace plan. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. We'll keep bringing you interesting and insightful updates on the stories that are shaping our world.